avoid. So let's just say I know this is the back. I go through, I've sanded this whole piece, it's ready for another coat. I can set it down, I can put my coat on this back part. Then I can do this, right? Now I've got a finished edge down here that's not touching any wood, it's up off the floor. And then I can start from here and I tie in that edge and I go. Now, because I know I've got a safe spot here, I could move. This isn't good because because of all the reasons. But I can adjust these blocks so it feels good. Now what I can do is I can take some of this scrap lumber and cut it into smaller blocks. And then I brought some of that ram board, the hardboard floor protector. I've got pieces of it in there. They're just waiting. I'm just waiting for them to be done, and then I was going to spread it out.
Okay.
And then basically, I would just do the there in the main floor. Just do it right there.
Okay.
And then using these blocks, you can position them and do them. Take them all off. Go ahead and sand them, and then as you finish one, go to that spot, finish the bottom, then flip it over, finish the top, and then go do your other one, finish the bottom, set it next to it, and just kind of march your way through them so that you don't have to step over things. You're not doing a lot of moving. That's going to help you kind of keep dust down and just process through them. And then I wouldn't put fans on them. I would just let them dry naturally. It usually takes a few hours before they're not tacky anymore and they don't feel sticky. Sometimes it's faster than that. It really just depends on when you're using water-based things. It depends on humidity, and you can move air around, but you also bring dust.
Got it.
So let's look at this one because this is kind of the ugliest one with these dings and dents, right? So I just want you to see how it changes. So I'll just do the center part so you can kind of watch how it changes. I'm doing a couple things unconsciously that I want to say. When you set the whole thing down like this, it tends to grab more. I'm going to exaggerate, but just a little bit up so that you're doing with one edge and it becomes much easier. I'll show you that now. So this will be flat and just a little bit picked up. But remember, you're applying more pressure when you do just an edge. So, and that's, if this was a wall, you could just put it right on and turn it on, and then you could use both hands. Because they're smaller pieces and they're going to want to move around a little bit, you just got to be more thoughtful with it. And so that is just moving it around more. It's literally just... But you see how I'm not concentrating on this area? I can concentrate on it and then bring it into the surroundings. I can concentrate on it and then push it into the areas around it. I don't want to get a dip, right? So I want to just sand it so that I'm taking anything and pushing it into the area around it. Right, so you see how some of the speckling in this piece of wood, it gets a little bit better as we go through. This is one piece that will require a little bit more work than most of them, but this sort of thing, as we saw earlier, will go away pretty quickly, right? This may have been something that maybe had a little bit of water on it, and that pushes in a little bit more, but it just, this first sanding is the most laborious of all the processes, in my opinion. It's just kind of that prepping and making sure that they feel good and that you feel like they're ready for the next step. Also keep in mind, just so you know, because this is one of those things I've lived, you will never care ever again as much how they look as you care right now.
Yeah.
They'll be like babies, and then they just become a part of your life. So the amount of effort you put in is kind of up to you as far as what you want, because you could spend so much time prepping them, but it's that curve, right? The amount of it's there's a huge amount of gain in that first part, and then the gain really goes down. So it's like you just kind of start to get to the end of that curve. That last 5%, you're going to work as hard as you worked in the first 70%, but you're hardly ever going to notice it again. Once you put a coat of something on it and it becomes a part of your floor and the shadows change and it just is getting walked on, you just don't notice it the same way. It's kind of like this, right? There are some of those defects in the floor that when I was putting them in, I was like, oh, and then I could see that some of the pieces looked the same. And so I just needed to make sure that I was spraying them out far enough that it wasn't obvious. They weren't right next to each other. I wasn't accumulating a bunch of things that were conspicuous. You know, things like this don't look very different from things like this once they're sanded. Like there's still a mark here, right? There's still a little bit of a mark here, this one right here. But it's like that's not going to pop out as much as that is, but you can't do anything about that. So I kind of, the way that I talk to people about prep is I encourage them to be realistic about what the purpose of it is, which is they're going to be stair treads, and you're going to spend time and energy, and they're going to look really beautiful. And then one of your kids is going to go down the stairs with a hammer and drop it, and there's going to be a dent in it, and it's going to be like, well, that's life.